Hey everyone, my name is Tori. Welcome to my channel if you've never been here before, and today we're going to be talking about why I don't use hedgehog food and why I don't recommend it. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about why I don't use hedgehog food today, and really the bare basics of it is that hedgehog food is usually incredibly low quality and a little bit pricier than it's worth. A lot of them are made out of corn and like really unnecessary ingredients, and generally speaking, cat food is a lot more suited towards a hedgehog's needs. We could probably get into a debate about whether or not kibble's best for them or not. Personally, like, I don't only feed kibble, I feed other things with it, but like kibble should always be their staple in my opinion because we don't know enough about other diets. Whatever, that's a different lecture for a different day. I did mention in my 10 misconceptions about hedgehogs video though that I wanted to discuss this topic because I find it incredibly important, and so here we are. So there is an opinion out there that is that hedgehog should be on a hedgehog specific food because it's species specific, therefore it's best for their needs and things like that. Today I wanted to go over some of the more popular hedgehog foods on the market and kind of tell you why I don't recommend them. Hopefully by me doing this it'll kind of show you where I'm coming from with my opinion, and hopefully give you a better informed opinion on the topic as well. So what you want to be looking for when you look for a food for your hedgehog is the first 1 to 3 ingredients should be a whole meat. So you don't want byproducts, you don't want fillers, you don't want wheat, you don't want things like that. You want like chicken and duck, and you want whole meat, and chicken and duck is the only thing that just sprang to mind for me because those are the two that I'm using right now, but you know what I mean. You want a whole product as your first, preferably like first 3 ingredients. If you have like the first ingredient is chicken but the second ingredient is corn, that food is incredibly low quality. Hopefully you get my gist there. So that's one of the many things you need to look for. Another thing you need to look for is the percentages. I'll put on the screen what kind of percentages you're looking for just so that I don't make this video incredibly long. So yeah, let's go over these foods. So the first food that I'm gonna be talking about is, that's a mouthful, that is available at a very popular chain pet store. Its first ingredient is wheat bran. Wheat bran, so not meat at all. The next ingredient is poultry meal. Now, poultry is incredibly unspecific. So we have no idea what kind of meat they're getting, just some sort of poultry, and it's poultry meal. It's not even whole poultry. And then the next is soy protein concentrate, fish meal, shrimp meal, chitin powder, so that would be insect exoskeleton powder, tuna meal, crab meal, so there's a lot of fish in here that's gonna make your hedgehog's poop smell pretty bad. Dried beet pulp, freeze-dried mealworms, fish oil, vegetable oil, dehulled soybean meal, yeast culture, ground flaxseed, dried kelp meal, and then it goes on to a ton of different supplements. And realistically, those supplements are doing all of the heavy lifting for the food because it's not made of anything of quality. Now, like I said, ingredients aren't the only thing you need to be looking out for when you go through your foods. You need to be looking at the percentages on the guaranteed analysis, and I'm already seeing a red flag looking at the percentages for this food because the protein is 38%, which is incredibly high for a hedgehog. Hedgehogs are prone to what is called fatty liver disease, and it is brought on a lot of the time by having significantly too high of protein in your hedgehog's diet, because high protein like that is hard on their liver. They do need higher protein foods, but the 38% is just way over what they need. And then the fat is pretty low for an average hedgehog. It's even lower than what I have my fat hedgehog on. It's 8%, which is very low. So you're looking at most likely that your hedgehog needs to eat a lot of it to keep its weight up, or it's gonna end up underweight. Next we have, and this is also available a lot of the time at very popular chain pet stores. This one upsets me a little bit, so we'll just start off. Poultry byproduct meal. So again, poultry, incredibly unspecific, but then it's also poultry byproduct meal, which means it can be like any part of the animal, any, really, like, it's just like horrible quality random poultry basically. Then we have ground soybean hulls, which they don't have a cecum, so like what are they gonna do with those? Whole wheat, chicken meal. So again, there's no whole meat in here. Dried beet pulp, ground brown rice, dehulled soybean meal, dried egg product. This is the one that upsets me. Ground aspen. Ground aspen. They have ground aspen in it. Like, do I need to like explain to you like why your hedgehog probably doesn't need to be eating aspen? That's disappointing to me. So we can skip some things like poultry fat, animal fat, whatever, poultry flavor. Let's go to powdered cellulose. So, like I've stated a couple times, hedgehogs don't have a cecum, so like their food really doesn't need powdered cellulose in it. They can't digest cellulose. So they're just kind of like taking that in and then pumping it right out of their bodies. This food is just like, it makes me uncomfortable. The percentages aren't bad. The protein's a little bit low, but like it's still within a spectrum that is decent, but the ingredients are just, I can't. Next, we're moving on to a food that I've actually seen promoted on YouTube, and they are using that YouTuber's video on their website to advertise this food, which is incredibly disappointing to me. But anyway, this is one that I get comments about a lot. So let's just jump into the ingredients. Blood meal. Blood meal is the first ingredient, not a meat. Blood meal. Soybean meal. Ground corn. Corn gluten meal. So 2 different kinds of corn, neither of which they can digest. Whole roasted soybeans, tallow, cane molasses, so sugar to make it taste better. Dried beet pulp again. Dried mealworms, yeast culture, acetophilus. Acetophilus is a probiotic. It probably helps them digest some of this stuff, considering a good chunk of what it's made of is not something that they can naturally digest. So yeah, and then the rest of it is supplements and things like that. There's even biotin in it, which, okay. Then we have the guaranteed analysis, which is okay. It's on the high end of the spectrum. So it's possible that your hedgehog could end up overweight on it, but all right. So now we have a brand that makes a lot of hedgehog foods, right? So they are actually one of the companies that makes one of the better hedgehog foods. Like if you're gonna feed off one of those, like this is the brand that makes one of them. So let's talk about the decent one first, shall we? This is the most expensive formula, I believe. It is $30. And the ingredients aren't awful. Whole dried chicken meat, whole brown rice flour, oatmeal, chicken meal, chicken fat, whole dried egg, blood meal, flax meal, animal plasma, rice bran, kelp meal. I mean, you guys can see them. Salt's pretty high up on the ingredient list, which is weird to me. But it's overall, it's not like the best quality food that you could feed a hedgehog, but it's not the worst either. Which says a lot. If all hedgehog foods were like that, I wouldn't be nearly as prone to be like, why are you feeding hedgehog food? You know what I mean? The unfortunate thing about this is that it is incredibly expensive. It is $30 for a bag and you have to order it online. So it's not readily available and it's expensive. You can also get cat foods that are way better quality for less money. And ultimately it's not a money thing. If this was higher quality than the cat foods that I was already feeding, I'd be more prone to get it, but it's really not. Unfortunately though, this isn't the only food that they offer. They offer 6 hedgehog specific foods and toppers. One of them's a topper, and then 5 of them are foods. One of them is that like higher quality one that we just talked about. And then the other 4 foods, it's kind of, or at least the other 3 foods, it's almost like they're made by a different company. Next we have their premium diet, which sounds great, premium, right? But it's a lower quality. So it's chicken meal, and then the second ingredient is corn. I really don't even need to go through the rest of the ingredients because if corn is in the ingredient list, it's not a good food. Those are some of the more popular hedgehog foods. I don't know if during editing I'm going to remove the names of the companies or not, but I will say if I did remove the names, these are some of the most popular hedgehog foods. 2 of the companies are online companies, and they are some of the most popular ones from online companies, and then the rest are from chain pet stores. So chances are you've heard of them if I do remove the names. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if that was helpful at all for you guys, but hopefully hearing me go through the ingredients and pointing out what's wrong with them is helpful for you guys in some way, just to show you that like, just because it's species specific doesn't mean it's good for them. I mean, there are bad dog foods and cat foods for dogs and cats. Like, you have to do your research and read the ingredients and look at the guaranteed analysis and make sure that what you're giving your animal is the best thing you can give them. So yeah, and that goes for like cat foods. Not all cat foods are created equal. You can't just go out and buy them like a random grocery store cat food that is like bright orange or something like that and expect it to be good for them, because it probably isn't. It probably has like corn in the top ingredient. So you have to do your research, and hopefully this video was helpful. And even if it wasn't, hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I'm a lonely, hard feline. I take what's mine and I leave behind.